The sensor screen flickered with red warnings that made Amy Wells lean closer to her station. She tapped the display twice, hoping the readings were wrong. They were not. 43 contacts had just appeared at the edge of scanner range, and every single one was bigger than anything in the human fleet. Around her, the bridge of the frigate Defiant buzzed with quiet activity. Officers checked their stations while trying not to look nervous. Amy could hear her own heartbeat over the hum of the ship's engines. She had joined the fleet 6 months ago, fresh from academy training. This was supposed to be a routine patrol. Commander Richard Hayes sat in the center chair, his gray hair catching the blue light from the tactical displays. He studied the incoming fleet with the same expression he might use for a weather report. Amy had served under him long enough to know this meant he was thinking several steps ahead. "Communications, open a channel," Hayes said. His voice carried no urgency, no fear, just calm professionalism. The view screen changed from the star field to show the lead alien vessel. The ship was massive, with sharp angles and dark purple armor that seemed to absorb light. Red energy pulsed along its hull like veins carrying poisoned blood. On the screen, a tall creature appeared. It had scaled skin the color of old bruises and eyes that glowed yellow. Amy recognized the species from her training files. Draxian, the galactic bullies who had conquered 4 systems in the last decade. "Human vessel," the Draxian spoke in heavily accented standard language. "I am Fleet Master Thulvex of the Draxian Collective. Your presence in this sector violates our claim. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." Hayes stood slowly, adjusting his uniform. "Fleet Master Thulvex, this is Commander Richard Hayes of the United Nations ship Defiant. We patrol this sector under authority of the Frontier Alliance. No territorial claims have been filed here." Thulvex's mouth pulled back in what might have been a smile. It showed too many teeth. "The Frontier Alliance has no power here, human. Look at your pathetic fleet, 12 tiny ships. We count 43 warships. Each of mine is worth 3 of yours. Do the mathematics." On the communication channel, Amy heard laughter. Other Draxian officers were mocking them openly. The sound made her hands curl into fists. "Your ships are old," Thulvex continued. "Outdated designs that were obsolete before your species left its home system. This is not a negotiation. This is a courtesy. We allow you to leave with your lives. Refuse, and we will teach you why 70 species bow to Draxian authority." Hayes remained perfectly still. "We appreciate the courtesy, Fleet Master. However, we have orders to maintain this position." More laughter echoed through the channel. Thulvex gestured to something off-screen, and several other aliens appeared on smaller displays. Amy recognized some of the species. Observers from neutral systems, here to watch the confrontation. One of them, a floating jellyfish-like creature, was broadcasting odds. The humans were listed at 300 to 1 against. "Maintain position," Thulvex repeated. "You amuse us, Commander Hayes. Tell me, do human children play with toy soldiers? That is what you remind me of. Children with toys pretending to be warriors." Amy glanced at her commander. A muscle in Hayes's jaw tightened, but his expression never changed. She had seen him play chess in the crew lounge. He never showed emotion during a game, even when losing, especially when losing. "All ships defensive formation pattern Delta," Hayes ordered quietly. The communication with Thulvex remained open, but Hayes spoke to his fleet on a separate channel. "Maintain cohesion. Watch your sectors." On Amy's screen, the 12 human ships arranged themselves into a scattered pattern. To an outside observer, it might look random. Amy had studied enough tactics to recognize the formation. It was designed for fighting while retreating, for making an enemy split their forces to pursue multiple targets. Thulvex noticed immediately. "You position for retreat. Good. You learn quickly. Perhaps humans are not completely stupid, only mostly stupid." He laughed again, and his bridge crew joined him. "We will count to 100 in our language. This gives you time to activate your slow engines and run home to your little planet." Hayes sat back down. He laced his fingers together and appeared to be considering the offer seriously. Amy knew better. She had seen him use this exact expression during chess games, right before executing a strategy his opponent never saw coming. "Fleet Master Thulvex, I have a counter-proposal," Hayes said. "You could withdraw your fleet and avoid unnecessary conflict." The laughter on the Draxian channel stopped abruptly. Thulvex leaned forward, his yellow eyes narrowing. "You dare?" "I dare to do my duty," Hayes interrupted, "which includes informing you that you are currently surrounded." Thulvex's face twisted in confusion. "Surrounded by what? Your dozen antiques." "Negative," Hayes said. He allowed himself a small smile. "By an asteroid field on your port side, a debris cloud on starboard, and a lot of empty space behind you. Poor tactical position for a fleet that size. You should have scouts check your surroundings before making threats." Amy checked her sensors and realized Hayes was right. The Draxian fleet had positioned itself in a natural bottleneck, probably because it looked intimidating. But intimidation was not the same as strategy. Thulvex's expression darkened. "You think terrain matters. We will crush you regardless of rocks and dust." "Perhaps," Hayes agreed. "But you will have to catch us first. And Fleet Master, humans might have old ships, but we learned something important during our history. The side that looks weaker is not always the side that loses." He cut the transmission before Thulvex could respond. "All ships," Hayes said to his fleet, "execute Delta pattern retreat speed, lead them into the asteroid field, keep them busy and keep them scattered. Help is coming." Amy's screen showed the Draxian fleet beginning to advance. The Draxian fleet moved forward like a wall of metal and malice. Amy watched her sensor screen as 43 massive warships accelerated toward the human vessels. Each enemy ship glowed with charged weapons, their shields creating ripples in space itself. "Contact with lead elements in 90 seconds, she reported, keeping her voice steady. The professionalism helped hide the fear. Hayes nodded without taking his eyes from the tactical display. "All ships begin backward acceleration. Make it look panicked. Scatter formation on my mark." Amy heard the order relay across the fleet channels. Through the view screen, she saw the other human frigates start to pull back. Their movements looked rushed, almost clumsy. She realized with a start that it was deliberate. Hayes was making them appear frightened. Thulvex appeared on the communication channel again, his voice filled with satisfaction. "They scatter like prey animals. Chase them down. Show these humans what happens when they refuse Draxian generosity." The enemy fleet abandoned their tight formation and split into hunting groups. 5 ships peeled off to pursue the frigate Steadfast on the left flank. Another 7 went after the corvettes near the asteroid field. The remaining vessels spread out, each group eager to claim an easy kill. "They took the bait," Hayes muttered. "Navigation, bring us about. Head for the densest part of the asteroid field, maximum safe speed." The Defiant spun in space and accelerated toward a cluster of spinning rocks. Amy gripped her console as the ship weaved between asteroids the size of city blocks. Red proximity alarms screamed at every near miss. Behind them, 3 Draxian cruisers followed, their bulk making tight maneuvers difficult. "They are closing distance," Amy said. 20,000 meters and decreasing." "Weapons, prepare for hit and run," Hayes ordered. "Target their sensor arrays. I want them angry, not crippled." The Defiant's rear cannons fired, sending blue plasma bolts streaking back toward the pursuing Draxians. The shots splashed against enemy shields, barely scratching them. One bolt struck an antenna array, causing sparks to cascade across the target ship's hull. On the open channel, Amy heard Draxian officers cursing in their own language. The insult to their pride hurt more than the actual damage. "Human cowards," Thulvex roared, "stand and fight." Hayes allowed himself a slight smile. Keep running. Make them chase us deeper into the field. Across the scattered battlefield, the same pattern repeated itself. Human ships would fire weak shots, score minor hits, then flee deeper into the asteroids. The Draxian vessels followed, their formations breaking further apart as captains competed for the honor of the first kill. Amy's console chimed with an urgent alert. "Commander, the Corvette Ranger is taking heavy damage. They have lost shields and are venting atmosphere from Deck 3. Hayes's expression hardened. Amy saw him glance at the rescue protocols, then at the tactical situation. If they broke formation to help Ranger, the entire plan would collapse. The commander's hands tightened on his armrests. "Order Ranger to proceed to emergency waypoint 7, Hayes said quietly. "Medical frigate Halifax will meet them there. All other ships continue current operations." Amy relayed the orders, trying not to think about the 43 crew members aboard Ranger struggling to seal hull breaches while enemy ships hunted them. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. "It is from observer ship Zephyr Prime, one of the neutral vessels watching the engagement." "Put it through," Hayes said. A new alien appeared on a side screen. This one resembled an octopus wearing a mechanical suit filled with glowing fluid. Its tentacles gestured in what translation software identified as amusement. "Commander Hayes," the creature burbled, "I am Observer Quillix. I broadcast this battle to 17 systems. The current wager pool has reached 2 million credits. All bets favor Draxian victory within the next 12 minutes. Would you like to surrender now? It would make better viewing than watching your ships destroyed one by one." "Observer Quillix," Hayes replied with exaggerated politeness. "I appreciate your interest in our survival. However, I must decline to surrender. Feel free to keep watching. The next 12 minutes should prove interesting." "Suit yourself, human. Your bravery is admirable, if foolish." Quillix's tentacles waved in what might have been a shrug. "I shall enjoy collecting my winnings." The transmission ended. Amy looked at Hayes questioningly. "Sir, what happens in 12 minutes?" Hayes checked his chronometer. "In 11 minutes and 40 seconds, we find out if Command kept their promise." Before Amy could ask what promise, her sensor board exploded with new alerts. She blinked at the readings, certain they were malfunctioning. "Sir, I am detecting a massive energy signature at the edge of the system. It is unlike anything in our database. The computer cannot classify it." Hayes leaned forward, his calm exterior cracking to show something underneath. Relief, maybe, or vindication. "Can you get a visual?" he asked. Amy worked her controls, boosting the long-range scanners to maximum. The image that appeared made her breath catch in her throat. Space itself seemed to tear open in a flash of white and blue energy. Something emerged from the rift, something so large that her mind struggled to process the scale. The computer stuttered through measurements, finally displaying a number that seemed impossible. 3 kilometers long. The ship that entered the system dwarfed every vessel present, human and Draxian alike. Its hull gleamed white and silver, covered in weapons batteries that could level cities. Blue lights ran along its length like veins of captured lightning. The design was sleek, predatory, and utterly beautiful. "My God," someone whispered on the bridge. Hayes stood straightening his uniform. When he spoke, his voice carried across all channels, human and Draxian alike. "Fleet Master Thulvex, allow me to introduce the UNS Prometheus. She is our mothership. Those old frigates you were mocking, they were keeping you busy while we positioned our real fleet." On the main view screen, Amy saw Thulvex's face lose its color, his yellow eyes going wide. "That is impossible," the Draxian whispered. Diana Foster stood in the center of the Prometheus command bridge, watching holographic displays track every ship in the engagement zone. The bridge crew worked around her with practiced efficiency, their movements precise and calm. They had trained for 3 years in secret shipyards beyond the outer colonies, waiting for this moment. "Captain, we have full tactical lock on all Draxian vessels," her weapons officer reported. Lieutenant Parker was young but steady, his hands moving across the targeting controls with confidence. "Hold fire," Diana ordered. "Open a channel to the Draxian flagship. All frequencies, maximum broadcast. I want every species in this sector to hear what comes next." The view screen changed to show Thulvex on his bridge. The Draxian commander looked nothing like the confident bully from earlier. His scaled hands gripped his command chair, claws digging into the metal. Behind him, Diana could see other Draxian officers frantically working their stations, probably trying to understand what they faced. "Fleet Master Thulvex," Diana said, her tone professional and even. "I am Captain Diana Foster of the United Nations ship Prometheus. We have monitored your engagement with our patrol fleet. Your conduct has been noted and recorded." Thulvex's jaw worked silently for a moment before he found his voice. "This is a trick. Humans do not possess such technology. You must have stolen this ship, purchased it from." "We built it," Diana interrupted. "Every centimeter, every system, every weapon. We built it because when humanity first reached the stars, we assumed we would find friends. We hoped for cooperation, but we prepared for the alternative." She gestured, and her tactical officer sent new data to the main screen. Schematics appeared, showing Prometheus in detail. The Draxian vessels were overlaid for comparison, the size difference shocking. "You see 12 old frigates and assumed humanity was weak," Diana continued. "That was your first mistake. Those ships were scheduled for decommission next month. We kept them in service for one purpose: to test how aggressors would respond to what they perceived as easy prey." On a secondary screen, Diana watched Observer Quillix's broadcast. The octopus creature had gone very still in his tank. The betting odds had started to shift dramatically. Thulvex rallied, drawing himself up. "One ship does not make a fleet. We still outnumber you 43-1. "Do you?" Diana asked mildly. She nodded to her communications officer. Space around Prometheus rippled. 6 more massive vessels decloaked, appearing from nothing. Each was slightly smaller than Prometheus but still dwarfed the Draxian warships. They spread out in a formation that surrounded the enemy fleet completely. 7-43, Diana corrected. "Though I should mention that Prometheus alone carries more firepower than your entire collective fleet. The mathematics, I believe, no longer favor you." Amy watched from the Defiant, her sensor board struggling to process all the new contacts. The 7 human capital ships had appeared like ghosts, their stealth systems so advanced that even now her equipment could barely track them. "How long have they been there?" she whispered. Hayes smiled. "Since before Thulvex entered the system, we led the Draxians into a trap. They thought they were the hunters. They were wrong." On the main channel, Thulvex was conferring with his officers. Diana waited patiently, her hands clasped behind her back. She looked like someone with all the time in the universe. Finally, Thulvex turned back to the screen. His yellow eyes had narrowed to slits. "What do you want, human?" "I want you to make a choice," Diana said. "The same choice you offered Commander Hayes. You can withdraw your fleet peacefully, or you can discover exactly how much our weapons testing has progressed. I will give you 60 seconds to decide." "You dare threaten the Draxian collective?" Thulvex's voice rose. "We have conquered civilizations older than your species. Our military doctrine is written in the ashes of 100 defeated enemies. You are children playing with—" Diana raised one hand, cutting him off. 40 seconds. "This is unacceptable. The Draxian honor demands." 20 seconds. Thulvex slammed his fist on his armrest. "We will not be intimidated by human trickery. All ships, combat formation. Prepare to engage the human vessels." Diana's expression never changed. "Your choice, Fleet Master. Weapons you are authorized to fire. Disable only. No kills unless absolutely necessary. Aye, Captain, Parker responded. Targeting engines and weapon systems only. Amy watched in awe as Prometheus rotated slowly, bringing its main railgun batteries to bear. The weapons were massive, running along the ship's spine like the vertebrae of some mechanical beast. Blue energy began to gather at their tips, building to a blinding intensity. All Draxian ships are charging weapons, the tactical officer reported. They are committing to attack. Let them fire first, Diana ordered calmly. I want the records to show they initiated hostile action. Red energy beams lanced out from the Draxian fleet, dozens of them converging on Prometheus. The human mothership's shields activated, creating a shimmering barrier of blue light. The Draxian weapons struck with enough force to vaporize smaller vessels. The shields held, they did not even flicker. On the Defiant, Hayes let out a low whistle. Those shields just absorbed more firepower than our entire patrol fleet could generate in a week. Diana's voice came over all channels. Draxian Fleet Master Thulvex, you have opened fire on United Nations vessels in neutral space. This constitutes an act of war under 7 different galactic treaties. We are now authorized to respond with appropriate force. She nodded to Parker. Fire. Prometheus unleashed hell. Blue-white beams erupted from the railgun batteries, moving faster than conventional weapons. The shots were precise, surgical. They bypassed Draxian shields as if they were not there, punching through armor to strike specific targets. The lead Draxian cruiser shuddered as both its main engines exploded. The ship went dark, drifting. Prometheus launched its fighter wings next. The hangar bays along the mothership's flanks opened like the gills of some enormous sea creature. Silver fighters poured out in precise formations, hundreds of them, each no larger than a cargo shuttle but moving with frightening agility. Amy had never seen anything move that fast in space. The fighters curved and spun in 3-dimensional patterns that made her eyes hurt to track. They were not just fast, they were smart. The pilots flew in coordinated swarms, supporting each other, covering angles, executing maneuvers that should have been impossible. A wing of 20 fighters descended on a Draxian destroyer. The alien ship tried to target them with point defense cannons, but the human craft moved too quickly. They fired blue pulse weapons in rapid succession, each shot precisely placed. The Draxian destroyer's weapons arrays exploded one by one. Its shields flickered and died. Within 30 seconds, the ship was helpless, drifting without power or guns. The fighters moved to the next target. They are not destroying them, Hayes observed from the Defiant. Every shot is calculated to disable, not kill. Amy understood what he meant. This was not a battle. This was a demonstration. Prometheus and its fighter wings were showing the Draxians exactly how outmatched they were, while carefully avoiding unnecessary deaths. It was somehow more terrifying than simple destruction would have been. On the main channel, Thulvex screamed orders at his fleet. All ships, ramming speed. If we cannot defeat them with weapons, we will destroy them with our hulls, for the glory of the collective. 6 Draxian cruisers broke formation and accelerated directly toward Prometheus. They pushed their engines beyond safety limits, becoming missiles of metal and fury. Each ship massed thousands of tons. At that speed, even Prometheus's shields might fail. Diana watched them come, utterly calm. Tactical, do we have solutions? Yes, Captain, the tactical officer replied. All 6 targets locked. Recommend plasma lance at 40% power. Weapons free. 3 spinal-mounted weapons on Prometheus glowed brilliant white. Energy discharged in focused beams that made the railgun fire look like sparklers by comparison. The plasma lances were pure concentrated power, hot enough to ignite atmospheres from orbit. The lead Draxian cruiser took a lance strike directly to its bow. The entire front half of the ship simply ceased to exist, vaporized in a flash of white fire. The rear section tumbled away, its engines dead, its crew hopefully in the reinforced stern compartments. The second cruiser tried to dodge. The plasma lance tracked it effortlessly, cutting through the ship's midsection like a blade through water. The vessel split in two perfect halves, both pieces spinning into the void. The remaining four cruisers broke off their attack, their captains apparently deciding that suicide runs were not worth the honor. All Draxian vessels have ceased offensive operations, the tactical officer reported. They are attempting to reform defensive positions. Diana studied the holographic display. 20 Draxian ships were disabled, drifting. Another 15 were damaged but still mobile. The remaining 8 had pulled back, their shields at maximum, weapons powered down. "Captain," Parker said quietly, "we have multiple target locks. We could end this in one salvo." "No," Diana said firmly. "We have made our point. Open a channel to Thulvex." The Draxian commander appeared on screen. His bridge was in chaos. Sparks fell from damaged consoles. Officers shouted reports in panicked voices. Thulvex himself looked diminished, his earlier arrogance completely gone. "Fleet Master," Diana said, "do you wish to continue this engagement?" Thulvex said nothing. His clawed hands gripped his damaged chair, and Amy could see them trembling. Diana leaned forward slightly. "I am going to tell you something important, Fleet Master, something you need to understand. Humans spent 200 years fighting each other before we reached the stars. We had global wars. We invented weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We learned every possible lesson about combat the hard way, paid for in the blood of billions." She gestured at the disabled Draxian ships. "When we finally left Earth and found we were not alone in the universe, we hoped things would be different out here. We hoped we could leave that violence behind. But we also knew we might be wrong about that hope, so we prepared." "You deceived us," Thulvex managed to say. "You hid your strength." "We did not hide anything," Diana corrected. "You saw our patrol fleet and assumed that was all we had. You saw what you expected to see. We simply did not correct your assumptions." On a side channel, Amy heard observer Quillix broadcasting to his audience. "Remarkable. The humans have completely reversed the tactical situation. The betting pools are in chaos. Species across 7 sectors are revising their threat assessments." Diana ignored the broadcast and kept her attention on Thulvex. "Fleet Master, I am going to offer you the same choice you gave Commander Hayes, but with one addition. You can withdraw your fleet immediately, or you can continue fighting, and we will disable every ship you have without destroying them. Either way, this engagement ends." "Why?" Thulvex asked. His voice was barely a whisper. "Why not kill us? We would have killed you." "Because killing you proves nothing except that we can," Diana replied. "We already know we can. We have spent centuries perfecting the art of destruction. What we are trying to learn now is whether we can build something better than that." She stood, her white uniform catching the light from the tactical displays. "I am transmitting medical assistance codes to your fleet. We have rescue ships standing by. Any Draxian vessel that requests aid will receive it. No conditions. No cost. We will help you save your wounded because that is what civilized species do." Thulvex stared at her. Around him, his bridge crew had stopped shouting and were listening in stunned silence. "You offer mercy," the Draxian said, "after we mocked you, after we attacked." "I offer basic decency," Diana corrected gently. The first Draxian ship to request assistance was not Thulvex's flagship. It was a heavy cruiser called the Bone Render, commanded by a younger officer named Krell. His vessel had taken a plasma lance through its engineering section. 300 crew members were trapped in sealed compartments, their air running out. Amy piloted one of the rescue shuttles herself. Hayes had given her the assignment personally, saying she deserved to see the next part of what they had started. The The shuttle was small and fast, painted white with red medical markings. Two emergency medical teams sat in the back, ready to deploy. As they approached the damaged Draxian ship, Amy could see the extent of the destruction. The entire stern section was gone, vaporized. The remaining hull showed stress fractures and radiation burns. Through gaps in the armor, she could see Draxian crew members waving frantically. "This is Rescue Shuttle Medical 7, Amy transmitted. "We are approaching your port airlock. Prepare to receive assistance." There was a long pause, then a rough voice responded in heavily accented standard. "This is Commander Krell of the Bone Render. We appreciate your aid, human. Our wounded are in sections 4 through 7. We have already lost 60 crew. Please hurry." Amy docked the shuttle with practiced precision. The airlock cycled, and her medical teams rushed through with equipment and supplies. She followed them into the Draxian ship. The interior was nothing like human vessels. The corridors were wider, built for larger bodies. The lighting was reddish and dim. Everything smelled of burned metal and something organic she could not identify. Draxian crew members stared at her as she passed. Some looked hostile, most just looked shocked. A tall Draxian officer met them at a sealed bulkhead. This must be Krell. He had lighter scales than Thulvex and younger eyes, though Amy could not guess his actual age. A burned scar ran across his left arm. "The medical bay is through here," Krell said, "but the bulkhead is jammed. We cannot open it from this side." One of Amy's engineers stepped forward with cutting equipment. "Stand back, please. This will take about 3 minutes." While they worked, Amy found herself standing next to Krell. The Draxian commander watched the human engineers with an expression she could not read. "Why are you doing this?" Krell asked quietly. "Your captain disabled my ship. She had every right to leave us to die. We attacked you first." Amy considered her answer carefully. "Because we remember what it was like when we did this to each other. Back on Earth, our nations fought wars that killed millions. After those wars ended, the survivors had a choice. Stay angry forever or try to build something better. We chose better. It was not easy, but it worked." Krell's claws flexed. "The Draxian way is different. We believe strength is the only law that matters. The weak serve the strong. That is natural order." "Is it?" Amy asked. "Because from where I stand, strength just gave us the ability to save your crew. What we choose to do with that ability defines who we are more than how we got it." The bulkhead cut through with a shower of sparks. The human medical teams rushed inside. Amy followed and immediately wished she had not. The medical bay was a nightmare. Injured Draxians lay on tables and floors, some moaning, some silent. The air was thick with the smell of blood and fear. Her teams went to work immediately, professional and efficient. They moved from patient to patient, applying human medical technology adapted for Draxian biology. Diana had ordered extensive research on alien species after first contact. The preparation paid off now. A young Draxian lay on a table, his breathing shallow. Both his legs were crushed. One of Amy's medics scanned him quickly and pulled out an injection gun. "This will hurt for a moment, then the pain will stop," the medic said gently in standard. The young Draxian did not respond, might not have understood. The medic injected him anyway. Within seconds, the patient's ragged breathing eased. Amy watched Krell observe the scene. The Draxian commander's expression changed slowly from suspicion to something else. Wonder, maybe, or shame. "Your people are skilled," Krell said. "They work quickly." "They have practice," Amy replied. "Humans have been patching each other up after fights for thousands of years. We got pretty good at it." 3 hours later, Amy's teams had stabilized all the critical patients. 60 Draxians had died before help arrived, but 240 survived. As Amy prepared to leave, Krell stopped her at the airlock. "Lieutenant Wells," he said formally, "I want you to know something. When we entered this system, I supported Fleet Master Thulvex completely. I believed humans were weak. Inferior, I laughed at your small ships. He paused, his yellow eyes meeting hers directly. I was wrong, not just about your weapons, about everything. Amy nodded slowly. Fleet Master Thulvex is still alive, right? Maybe he can learn the same lesson. Perhaps, Krell said, but pride is difficult to overcome, especially for those who have built their entire identity on it. Back at the shuttle, Amy looked out at the battlefield. Human rescue ships moved among the disabled Draxian vessels like white ghosts in the dark. Fighter patrols circled protectively, watching for any threats while their medical teams worked. Prometheus hung in space like a guardian angel, its weapons powered down but ready. On the long-range scanners, she could see Observer Quillix's ship and a dozen others. They were recording everything, transmitting it across known space. By tomorrow, every species in the galaxy would have seen what happened here. Hayes contacted her on a private channel. How did it go, Lieutenant? We saved 240 lives, sir, Amy reported. Commander Krell was grateful. He even admitted they were wrong about us. Good, Hayes said. 3 weeks after the battle, Diana stood in a large conference room aboard neutral space station Concordia. The station was a massive ring that rotated slowly, creating artificial gravity for the comfort of visiting species. Through the panoramic windows, she could see dozens of ships docked at the outer hull. Some were human, many were not. The Emergency Council meeting had drawn representatives from 17 different species. They sat around a curved table that could accommodate various body types. Some delegates required water tanks. Others needed high-pressure atmosphere suits. 2 existed as clouds of luminous gas in containment fields. Diana represented humanity alone. She had declined offers of additional ambassadors, preferring to speak for herself and her species without committee interference. The council chairman was a tall, insectoid creature named Click7Trees. His translator device rendered his rapid mandible movements into standard language. Captain Foster, this council has reviewed footage of your encounter with the Draxian fleet. We have several questions. I am here to answer them, Diana said calmly. First question, Click7Trees continued. Why did humanity hide its military capabilities during first contact protocols? Several species view this as deceptive. Diana had expected this. We did not hide our capabilities. We simply did not volunteer them. When you meet a stranger, do you immediately list every weapon you own? Or do you attempt peaceful conversation first and keep your defenses ready? A delegate who resembled a floating jellyfish pulsed with agitation. But you allowed us to believe you were weak, less advanced. You manipulated our perceptions. We allowed you to reveal your true intentions, Diana corrected. If you assumed we were weak and treated us with respect anyway, that spoke well of your character. If you assumed we were weak and treated us with contempt, that revealed something different. We learned which species valued strength over decency. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. Click7Trees made a sound his translator rendered as thoughtful humming. Second question, he said. Your vessels demonstrated weapon technology that bypasses conventional shielding. Several species are concerned about this capability. Will you share these specifications? Diana smiled slightly. I will share defensive technology freely. Any species that wants better shields is welcome to our research. But offensive weapons, those we will keep to ourselves until we are certain they will not be used for conquest. That is unacceptable, the jellyfish delegate pulsed brighter. You cannot dictate terms to this council. I am not dictating anything, Diana replied. I am simply making a choice about what my species will and will not share. You are free to develop your own technology. We will not stop you, but we will not arm you either. A new voice spoke up. It belonged to a Draxian delegate, not Thulvex, but an older female with silver scales. Captain Foster, the Draxian Collective wishes to address this council. We have suffered a significant defeat. Our fleet was humiliated. Some in our government call for retaliation." The room went very quiet. Diana kept her expression neutral, but her hand moved slightly closer to the emergency communicator on her belt. The Draxian delegate continued. "However, there is another faction, younger officers who witnessed human mercy firsthand. They argue that our old ways of conquest and intimidation have failed us. They believe the collective should change." She paused, her yellow eyes finding Diana's. "I am part of that faction. I voted to send Commander Krell to this meeting, but he declined. He said he was not worthy to speak for those he once mocked." Diana felt something tight in her chest ease slightly. Commander Krell saved his crew through quick thinking and courage. He has nothing to be ashamed of. "He disagrees," the Draxian delegate said. "He has requested assignment to our frontier outposts, the least prestigious posting in our fleet. He wishes to prove himself worthy of human respect before seeking further contact." Click 7 Trees clicked his mandibles rapidly. This council recognizes that humanity has disrupted the existing power balance. Many species must now reconsider their positions and policies. "We propose a treaty. Humanity agrees not to expand militarily for 10 standard years. In exchange, you receive protected status and full council representation." Diana considered this. It was a reasonable offer, but it was also a cage disguised as protection. "Counterproposal," she said. "Humanity will continue to build defenses as we see fit. However, we commit to never initiating aggression and to responding to genuine distress calls from any species, even former enemies. We will help defend those who cannot defend themselves. In exchange, we want full council representation and the right to establish defensive outposts in frontier sectors." The delegates erupted in argument. Some supported her proposal, others called it dangerous. The debate raged for 20 minutes before Click 7 Trees called for order. "We will vote," he announced, "all in favor of Captain Foster's counter-proposal." The vote was closer than Diana expected. 9 species supported it, 6 opposed, 2 abstained. "The measure passes," Click 7 Trees said. "Humanity is granted full council membership and defensive rights. This meeting is concluded." As the delegates filed out, the Draxian delegate approached Diana privately. "Captain Foster, I wanted to thank you personally. My son was aboard the Bone Render. Your medic saved his life." Diana blinked in surprise. "Your son serves under Krell." "He did. Now he trains at our military academy, teaching new cadets about the importance of strategy over arrogance. He wants to join the Draxian officers who favor cooperation with humanity." The delegate's expression softened. "You could have killed him. You chose mercy. That choice changed everything for my family." After the delegate left, Diana stood alone at the window, looking out at the docked ships. Amy had been promoted and assigned to an explorer vessel with a mixed crew of humans and aliens. Hayes commanded the second mothership, the UNS Achilles. The human fleet was growing, but so was human influence for peaceful cooperation. Her communicator chimed. A message from Earth, from the Admiralty. They wanted her back home for debriefing and to help plan the next phase of expansion. Diana took one last look at the stars before leaving.